Some people peak early and disappear. I always wondered what happened to the weird, quiet ones. Megan Ashworth said it while staring directly at me across the decorated gymnasium of Jefferson High School. Her lips curled into the same cruel smile she had perfected 20 years ago. She hadn't changed at all. Still blonde, still polished, still surrounded by a circle of admirers hanging on her every word. But I had changed, and she was about to find out exactly how much. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. My name is Simone Fitzgerald. I'm 38 years old, and for 4 years of high school, Megan Ashworth made my life a living nightmare. I was the scholarship kid at Jefferson Prep, a private school in Connecticut where tuition cost more than my mother earned in a year. I got in because I was smart, really smart, and because Jefferson needed to meet their diversity quotas. My mother cleaned houses to pay for my uniforms and books. I took 3 buses to get to school every morning. I wore the same 2 skirts on rotation because we couldn't afford more. Megan noticed all of it. She made sure everyone else noticed too. She called me charity case in the hallways. She accidentally spilled her smoothie on my laptop, the refurbished one my mother had saved for 8 months to buy. She started a rumor that I had lice, and for 3 weeks, nobody would sit next to me in class. She created a fake social media profile pretending to be me, posting humiliating things that followed me for years. The teachers saw it. The administration saw it. Nobody did anything because Megan's father donated a new science wing, and her mother chaired the fundraising committee. The Ashworths were untouchable. I was expendable, so I put my head down and survived. I graduated valedictorian. Megan was furious about that, demanded a recount that never happened, and I got a full ride to MIT. I left Connecticut and never looked back. For 20 years, I built my empire in silence. I double majored in computer science and business. I started my first company in my dorm room, a cybersecurity firm that I sold for $12 million before I turned 25. I used that money to start my second company, Sentinel Technologies, which is now worth $3 billion and protects the data of Fortune 500 companies across the globe. I had never planned to go to my high school reunion. Why would I? Those 4 years were the worst of my life. But 3 months ago, my company acquired Morrison & Partners, a mid-sized marketing firm based in Stamford. It was a strategic acquisition. They had talent we needed for our new consumer division. I didn't pay much attention to the employee roster. I had people for that. Then my assistant flagged something interesting during the integration review. Megan Ashworth was a senior account manager at Morrison & Partners. She had been there for 6 years, stuck in middle management, with a personnel file full of complaints about her aggressive communication style and difficulty working with diverse teams. The universe has a sense of humor. I decided to attend the reunion after all. I walked into that gymnasium wearing a custom Valentino dress and carrying a clutch that cost more than Megan's monthly salary. I had arrived alone. My husband, a surgeon, was on call, but I didn't need an entourage. I had something better. I had patience. I had proof. I had power. Megan spotted me within minutes. I watched her face cycle through confusion, then recognition, then something that looked almost like fear before she masked it with that familiar sneer. She approached with her wine glass held like a weapon, flanked by 2 women I vaguely recognized as her former lieutenants. Girls who had laughed when she tormented me, who had pretended not to see when she made me cry. "Oh my God, Simone. Is that you?" Her voice dripped with false sweetness. "I almost didn't recognize you. You look so different." "Hello, Megan." She turned to her friends, loud enough for the surrounding crowd to hear. "This is the girl I was telling you about. Remember, the quiet one who always sat in the back? Some people peak early and disappear. I always wondered what happened to the weird, quiet ones." A few people laughed nervously. Others looked uncomfortable. 20 years later, and Megan was still performing the same tired routine. I reached into my clutch and pulled out a business card. Thick cardstock. Embossed lettering. Simple and elegant. "Here," I said, handing it to her. "In case you were still wondering." Megan laughed and took the card dismissively. She glanced at it, expecting to see something small, something forgettable, something that would confirm every assumption she had ever made about me. Then she actually read it. Simone Fitzgerald, Chief Executive Officer, Sentinel Technologies. Her smile froze. I watched her connect the dots. The news articles she must have seen about the acquisition, the company-wide emails announcing the merger, the names she hadn't bothered to read, because she never paid attention to anything that didn't directly involve her. Wait, she said slowly. Sentinel Technologies? That's the company that bought Morrison and Partners. Yes. I smiled. Your employer. Well, technically, I'm your employer now. The color drained from her face. The crowd around us had grown larger now, sensing drama, leaning in to listen. Funny you mentioned disappearing, I continued, keeping my voice pleasant and conversational. Your department is being eliminated Monday. Redundancies in the new corporate structure. I signed the paperwork yesterday. Her wine glass slipped from her fingers. It shattered on the gymnasium floor, red wine spreading across the polished wood like blood. You can't, her voice cracked. You can't do that. That's retaliation. That's illegal. I'll sue. It's not retaliation, Megan. It's restructuring. Your entire division is being absorbed into our existing marketing team. Everyone in your department received the same notification. It has nothing to do with you personally. I paused. Although I will say, your personnel file made for interesting reading. 9 complaints in 6 years. That's impressive, even by your standards. One of her friends stepped back, physically distancing herself from the disaster unfolding in front of her. The other was frantically typing on her phone, probably Googling my name, confirming that I was exactly who I said I was. This isn't fair, Megan whispered. Tears were forming in her eyes, real tears, not the performative ones she had weaponized in high school. You can't just ruin my life because of something that happened 20 years ago. I'm not ruining your life because of 20 years ago. I'm running my company the way it needs to be run. Your department was redundant before I ever knew you worked there. The fact that you happen to be in it is just... I smiled. Karma. I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she could hear. You spent 4 years trying to break me. You called me charity case. You destroyed my laptop. You made me afraid to walk down the hallways of my own school. Do you know what that did to me? Do you have any idea how many nights I cried myself to sleep, how many times I thought about giving up, how close you came to actually breaking me? She was shaking now. I was a kid. We were all kids. I didn't mean. You meant every word. And you've spent the last 20 years doing the exact same thing to everyone around you. 9 complaints, Megan. 9 people who formally reported your behavior. How many others just suffered in silence? I straightened up and addressed the crowd that had gathered around us. Some people peak early and disappear. That's what you said, right? I looked at Megan one last time. I didn't peak. I didn't disappear. I built something that will last longer than anything you've ever done. And I did it by lifting people up instead of tearing them down. I turned and walked away. Behind me, I could hear Megan sobbing, her friends awkwardly trying to console her, the whispers spreading through the gymnasium like wildfire. A hand touched my arm. I turned to find a woman I barely recognized, glasses, graying hair, kind eyes. Simone? I'm Denise Porter. I sat behind you in AP Chemistry. I remembered her. She had been quiet too. She had never participated in the bullying, but she had never stopped it either. I just wanted to say. She hesitated. I'm sorry. For not standing up for you back then. For not doing anything when she treated you like that. It was cowardly, and I've thought about it a lot over the years. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I nodded. Thank you for saying that. It means more than you know. The fallout was significant. Megan tried to hire a lawyer to sue for wrongful termination, but no attorney would take the case. The restructuring was legitimate, well-documented, and had been planned before anyone knew about our connection. She posted a long rant on social media about corporate bullying that got her mocked more than sympathized with. The story made its way to a few business blogs, which only increased publicity for Sentinel Technologies. 3 months later, I received a letter, handwritten on plain stationery. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting from years of cruel notes stuffed through the vents of my locker. Megan apologized. Not for the reunion, for high school. She said losing her job had forced her to take a hard look at her life, at the person she had become, at the patterns she had repeated for decades. She was in therapy now. She was trying to be better. I didn't respond. Some apologies are for the person giving them, not the person receiving them. I had moved on years ago. I didn't need her closure. I'm sitting in my corner office now, looking out at the Boston skyline. On my desk is a framed photo of my mother. She passed away 2 years ago, but she lived long enough to see me ring the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange when Sentinel went public. She cried that day. So did I. Next to her photo is another frame, my high school diploma from Jefferson Prep. I keep it as a reminder, not of the pain, of the fuel. Every cruel word, every humiliation, every moment I was made to feel worthless, I converted all of it into ambition, into drive, into a determination to build something so big that nobody could ever make me feel small again. Megan Ashworth thought I peaked early. She thought I disappeared. She thought the weird, quiet girl would fade into nothing while she shined forever. She was wrong. The quiet ones are always watching, always learning, always building. And sometimes the quiet ones end up owning everything. If you were ever the quiet one, the weird one, the one they underestimated, hit that like button and share this story. Your time is coming. And when it does, make sure you have a business card ready.